Welcome. Welcome to the perfectly timed transition from the loop music. That worked out. That was
Gotta love when the quartz quantization, hit properly. It's really something to behold.
that's right. Cool, yeah. Welcome folks to the Tech Audio Chat. Um I am adjusting. I've got a new desk set up here. So I just painted a wall and I've got a new desk set up, so I'm still getting used to trying out a new layout. So we'll see
Looks
if it works.
nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Mm.
Still lots to do. I don't know what to like. I originally had this big hutch, this is it reverse, this big hutch on this desk here, and I'm kind of liking the space. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to do with it yet. I haven't
Desk
figured it out.
space is a premium for sure.
Yeah, it's it's like I had a lot of utilities, I had a lot of stuff here. This is my art room, and I had a lot of stuff here that was sort of part of a workflow, but I didn't use it all the time, and so it was taking up space. And now I'm kind of like thinking maybe I want like a multi-use space where so I just have like an actual desk space.
Where do you put your marimba though, and your xylophone? Is that?
I keep it at Eric's house.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those certainly do take up space, but they're. Do you get to play on them too much?
Are we talking to Dan or?
No, that's a question. That's
talking to you. Probably.
I don't play Eric's marimba hardly ever.
No, this is a vibraphone.
Vibraphone.
Yeah, it's got a motor and yeah, it's old fashioned. It's like a 75-year-old.
Is it loud? Is the motor loud?
I mean, it's the motor is just to cover the resonators, and so you get like a tremolo.
No, I know what it's for.
Yeah,
is the motor itself like I remember
the motor? Yeah, no,
yeah, because that's always like one of the problems I've heard from samplers. Is a sampling vibraphone is sometimes really painful if you like sample the vibrato because the motor itself has like a low noise to it, and then obviously that's like something that can stack, which is really painful.
Honestly, no one really uses the motor these days. It's pretty antiquated. It's kind of a relic at this point. But, it's called a vibraphone, so you have to have one, but no one ever uses it.
The Modern Jazz Quartet is one of my favorite jazz bands, and so the whole vibraphone as like part of the quartet is like beautiful sound.
Would like a marimba though. That takes up a more space, more money. Yeah, we'll see.
Get a bass marimba.
I'll have to get a bigger room.
I always find it slightly comical when I see bass marimba players play, because the technique is like.
I mean that could just be for show as well. Like I've played, I've played that as well, and it's very much like, look at me, I'm playing the bass marimba.
It reminds me of. I used to be like a sales rep to do instruments for a bunch of schools and orchestras and whatnot. And one of the funniest things is when you go to all the trade shows, the sub-contrabass flutes and the bass saxophones and whatever come out, and they're just insane. A sub-contrabass flute is like taller than I am, and you have like pro flute players trying their hardest to just get single short notes out of it, because it takes huge column of air to just get it working. But you think like, yeah, it's a cool sound, but it's also just like blowing over a large pipe at some point, Yeah.
Also, it's like $20,000.
Yep. It's always used to be I remember the advice I got when I was talking to my high school teacher about like joining an orchestra was like, well, if you buy like a bass clarinet instead of a clarinet, your chances of being in the orchestra sort of go up. And then if you buy like a contrabass clarinet, it's just you just join any orchestra in the world, because there's like 5, and so you just the more esoteric instrument you can get, if you get some weird bassoon hybrid thing, eventually you will get an orchestra seat just by proxy.
Yeah, but also the demand is lower.
Yep. Yep.
We got some cool people in the chat. We got Sean from the Sound Effects Guy. Ted Weckbacker, are you new? I don't recognize your name. That's awesome. Welcome. Christian Paquette. Stephen Lawless, as always. Stephen, I think you might have been in almost every single tech audio chat.
We've got a crowd tonight.
Oh, awesome, Horacio. It's good to see you, man.
Horacio, I feel like you recently linked a Wise tool thing. People would probably be keen on that.
He's got a CMake tool, which is utility in his GitHub. You should all check it out.
Super cool. I started poking around, and there's some cool ideas there.
James is lurking in the chat.
What's up, James? So what happened this week? What are we gonna?
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, and also who are we? Who are we? Eric's like,
doesn't matter.
I am. I'm Dan Reynolds. I'm joined by Eric Buckles and David Weaver.
Close.
That's pretty close. That's pretty close.
Yeah, it's an antiquated pronunciation, but it's there. Yeah, Reynolds. Yeah, it works.
It's the Melbourne pronunciation.
It's the Melbourne accent.
Would that be more like Weavy? Like just giving it up?
Not really. Yeah, but I like it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about the stream. The stream delay is whatever it is.
On LinkedIn? Oh, that's where it's at.
We are on LinkedIn. That's true.
Oh.
We are streaming on LinkedIn. You know what's funny is that it just looks like a normal thread. So the chat is like completely. It doesn't make any sense. It's just
nuts. Just LinkedIn.
It's just So yeah, we're thinking that we could look at the UE5.7 finally released yesterday. So that was the thinking.
Yeah, there was. I started up a new project yesterday to do another YouTube video, and then opened the Epic Games launcher and saw that 5.7 was out, and was like, "Oh no, do I do that now or do I do that tomorrow?" And then it turns out, so you guys are going to be able to walk me through some of the new features. I know that there's a lot of there's a couple of really handy, helpful bits and pieces. I think is this update. It's probably not a world beater of crazy new things, but it's like a hardening of a lot of the existing features as well.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to look at it. Yeah, some of the major feature call outs on the big bullet point. By the way, I linked in the YouTube description. I linked the release notes here, which you can just go to the website. And if you look at the audio, the big audio feature callouts.
Audio's pretty close to the top of the page. I'm a little impressed. We're not a
yeah. Well, they stash
not alphabetical.
Well, no, what it is they stash audio under the framework section. So like if you looked at I probably could have done it here. So if you look at here, I guess it doesn't show it on this, but yeah, it's under framework. Anyway, there's a lot of changes to Audio Insights. I'm going to be doing a little walkthrough of that. I've got Project Lyra loaded up here in the background. And we kind of covered Metasound node configuration with the 5.7 preview. But that's one of the major callouts here. There's been a lot of improvements to subtitles. One of the initiatives that has been kind of going on, which is maybe not as flashy a thing. I have not looked deeply into this, so this will be fun. Watching us sort of poke at it.
Didn't we poke at it with like your crickets for a bit and stuff?
Yeah, we did look at the basic bit, and maybe that's sufficient. But yeah, the some of the stuff that has changed are things like the asset action and the workflow,
Sure.
and I think there have been some other improvements here with the kind of listed here. More
But I mean,
improvements to the wave formatter. Yeah, go ahead.
maybe even just before we sort of get stuck into the actual features, I thought I'd just talk. This is something I
Oh,
was talking about on
am I
Slack
supposed to
last
share
night.
this?
Um, there is a thing that when a new update happens, maybe it would be good to talk about what do I do when a new update happens, because there's an element of working in new updates that can be scary, can break your machine. Like, when do I update? When do those things happen? And something I know with 5.7, things like checking out, if you build from source often, you may need to update some back-end parts of Visual Studio and things like that, as well as just look for evaluating a new version of your project before you commit to main and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty sure we update the GitHub setup instructions. Like GitHub has, if you get the source, GitHub has like a whole list. Actually, there's also documentation on setting up Visual Studio and for your for Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Ba, ba, ba.
And the other call out I had was that when a new update of Unreal comes out, one of the first things I like to do is open the plugins list and just go through it in case someone put a thing in that I didn't find out about. And I've occasionally just found really cool plugins that way that do get snuck into experimental modules and things that are supposed to be in the patch notes and usually are, but you might glance over them in the patch notes and not know what they mean until
Yeah.
you're looking at them in a list.
Yeah, so here's the one for setting up Visual Studio for 5 UE5. There's another one for UE4. But this is something that they'll try to keep updated, and you can see that the engine version up here literally shows, hey, look, Visual Studio 2019. Oh, let me just make that bigger. Visual Studio 2019 is not supported, hasn't been supported since 5.3. So that kind of stuff. And then here you can see the versions of 2022 that you'll want to use, one which is recommended or later there. And and then there's some good bits for, like, okay, even just preparing the toolbars and stuff like that, which is a little bit of, it's just a little bit of work to get it so that it looks better, it's easier to work around with.
But they are helpful. It's sometimes I find with things like Visual Studio that you maybe not spending a whole lot of time in, depending on what you do for work there. Sometimes those little features are just things that you accept that suck, or accept that
Yeah,
they're in
yeah,
the way or
exactly.
something, and
Yeah.
you forget that there's actually a lot of tweakability in your tooling and making sure that things work the way that you want them to work.
Yeah, Visual Studio in itself is one of those, like, almost painfully configurable,
Mm.
endlessly configurable pieces of software. It's very Microsoft. Like, you go into like 3 menus deep, and then there's a list of like a million toggles that you can switch on and off.
Yep.
And it's like literally everything that, and this is really insane. Also, there's a plugin for Visual Studio that you want to install, which you can find in the you can actually find, because you don't need to go to the source to do like C++ projects. You can just work right off the binaries if you're not rebuilding the engine itself. If you're just, you can build your project off of that. And in your engine here, let me see if I can.
It's definitely a good point where people think that writing code in Unreal means pulling an enormous repo and rebuilding from source every time and getting lost in Visual Studio, but really just using the binaries, and you can still write all the code you want for your own project. You just can't modify engine source.
You can even write plugins. Sometimes
Yep.
that's how I will author plugins. Is I'll actually do it in a project, and then move it to an engine directory when I feel like it's ready for showtime.
That's it.
Let me see if I can open up here.
It's also a benefit to work that way instead of building in an engine plugin, because dependencies, depending on how well you build, obviously the engine does try and do a lot of it. There's a lot of build accelerator tools and things that make building faster. But if you touch the wrong parts of the wrong files, you can often get hit with a pretty steep compile time, depending on what machine you're on. So working in a starting in a Blueprint project right from the Epic Games launcher and then going new C++ thing will just generate the project code that you need, and you can start doing plugins by doing edit, plugin, new plugin, and there's no requirement to build from source and all the rest of it. And then if you really feel like you need to make an engine modification, do you feel it, then you'd have to build from source or move it into source and rebuild there.
Yeah. Adding a C++ file will convert it to a C++ project. So so if you go into the engine installation, and then kind of get this bigger here, and then under extras, and then under Unreal VS, you'll see the plugin to install, and just make sure you have VS, not on when you install it. And then next time you go on, it should just be activated, but you can look under the plugins, manager to activate it if it's not there. And that will make it a whole lot easier to work in VS. I also recommend Rider. Like I've been
yeah, I was sitting over here waiting.
Yeah, it's the
I
thing.
use Rider too. I use them both. I have actually ReSharper from I got I got one of their packages. I forget what it was, like .NET Ultimate or something like that, and it's got ReSharper and Rider, and both of them are really great.
I was so frustrated. I love Rider, but it does this thing occasionally where it loses. I can't do hotkeys. Like all of my hotkeys just stop, and it does it so often that I just stopped using it in the end, because I kept trying it, being like, this is fantastic. It does so many good things, but then my copy paste will stop working, or like my shift tab will stop working, and I'll be like, this just doesn't work because these are such things, and I can't work out what it is. There's something somewhere.
I am always a little bit wary about my experiences with IDEs at work, because our like stream installation is so freaking huge. There's a million projects, and like it takes hours to index all of them, to parse everything.
Yeah, IntelliSense just explodes.
Yeah, basically. And exactly. You have to like a massive page file. Anyway, so I'm always a little bit, so I use VS with ReSharper for work stuff. That has worked better for me. I kind of like VS how it shows, the way that it shows the call stack better than Rider. Mm-hmm. But I do use Rider for smaller projects, like my own personal stuff. So kind of how
I found a lot of Rider's suggestions for code cleanliness are really, really good. Just like const correctness, checking, and that kind of thing. There's a lot of it's a lot more fun to write code in Rider. Like I was at one point, I was writing code in Rider and then just running it in VS, because it was easier that way than trying to do both. But
there are some actually interesting questions here. Hold on, let's see. Horacio says, how much source code work do tech audio folks do at Epic? Eric, I'd really like to hear your thoughts, but I feel like you and I are kind of outliers in the general tech audio space. I think we probably do a lot more code than people want us to.
It's true. But I mean, as far as like what would be typically expected is more like just kind of code fluency, being able to open classes, understand what's happening in code, and making changes to existing code rather than like writing new classes, new functions. It's mostly just modifying and like adding properties or something.
Which is a pretty useful skill, whether you're at Epic or anywhere else, and feels like the seed of a good tech audio designer being able to at least navigate and understand why things are and aren't working, for
also
parts
QA.
of it. Yep.
Also QA. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's one of those things that kind of pushes you over a little bit. I feel like script fluency is one thing. It's but being comfortable opening up the code, and even if it's just like I think what people get intimidated by the differentness of code, or the abstractness maybe in like a text abstractness. But like if you're looking, like, generally speaking, decent to better code, it should be fairly readable. That's a spicy opinion, by the way. But
yeah,
you're usually only looking at a small chunk of it at a time, and if you can isolate your examination to a single function, then or like a single scope, like you can sometimes visible by the indents, like that is often enough. And if the code is commented, which it should be, that's not a spicy opinion, by the way.
I don't know. Sometimes it is. It sort of depends. I think we're all aligned on like it needs to be readable. Whether the readability comes from the style of code writing or from the comments around code can probably differ. If you need something to be is difficult to express in a readable way, then having comments is good. And if you can express it in a readable way, then you don't need as many comments. But I mean, the source code is there. This is one of the big selling points of Unreal. There is source code. Like, it is a major benefit to you to see have or has someone at Epic solved this problem for me already. Can I either buy, borrow, steal that solution, and it's there for you, and it's there that it has been vetted against very large scale projects that already has some QA or QC for the style of code and the style of writing. So I do really think that even if you aren't going to write code, it occasionally I will find a new feature and just kind of start dicking around looking at what the code says and how did they express this idea, because it generally is going to be something that I could use later on to express another idea or another feature or a cool tech system.
Yeah, in the same way that you read a book, but you wouldn't plagiarize the book, because the source is available, but you have signed a licensing agreement to access it. So,
yep.
So the buy part is true, absolutely. The borrow and steal you do at your own peril.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more like I mean, you can't really take it to other engines, right? That's the thing.
I am not a lawyer, and I cannot advise on Epic Games legal stuff.
Yeah. I mean, when you get to code, can anybody really? Nowadays, we don't totally know. So, wrong people to talk to.
I'll take the bait, Dan. I'm more of a self-documenting code believer.
Yeah,
coming up with good names for variables, for functions and classes, and just trying to write in a way that's easy to just skim it and see what's happening.
Yep.
And then using comments if there's something that like you're going to forget later, or someone else is going to see that and not know what that's for.
Well, so here's the one thing. I mean, I agree with you in terms of names, which is a challenge, because I feel like sometimes you don't come up with good names unless you've got a good architecture from the get-go. And when you're starting out, sometimes you don't have like maybe a complete idea of the thing that you're building. And so maybe you got to go back and change the name or whatever. But um, I do like one thing I do like about comments is that it shows up on IntelliSense. It shows up on the assisted viewers in your IDE. And I like that, and I also think it's kind of powerful that we have the app property toolbar system for the U property specifiers, which is really cool.
Yeah, I always comment anything that's U property or U function just so it shows up in the editor.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll put comments on member variables or functions that are not exposed to Blueprint, but
Yeah.
I think as long as you're not doing comments where, like, I see a blueprint with comments, and blueprints are a whole different thing of how to express ideas and whatever. But there is a thing that I see sometimes where, like, there's a function that calls gets sound to play, and then there's a comment that says gets the sound to play, and I'm like, we're good. Like, it's so relax. I get it.
I have definitely written some of those.
Yeah. I mean, look, we all have, and sometimes they're actually antiquated things, and sometimes they still help. It's really just it only goes wrong when you have like a Boolean check that says is dead, and then you have a comment that says checks if the person is dead, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool.
A good comment would be like, what does dead mean? Like, how did what's the underlying assumption being made?
Yep.
So I did bring this up. There is a documentation on the Epic coding standard. And so this is obviously something that we are meant to adhere to at Epic. It also may help you read the source material. So you can like for example, if you see a prefix A, then you know that it's an actor because that's the coding standard. So things like that can sometimes it can help you read the code. But yeah, also if you want to do a pull request, adhering to the coding standards is pretty important.
Yep. All right, audio insights.
Yeah, sure. Here we go. We got okay. Yeah, I thought audio insights would be a good one to look at. Wait a second. Where's my Lyra? There we go.
Anyone that hasn't used Audio Insights before, this is the new, relatively new, I'd say, over the last couple iterations, but it's getting some big jumps now.
Yeah, we sort of kickstarted it back in 2023, I think. So we did with this really lovely product manager, Grace, who was with us for a little while. And one of the things that she was really good at was reaching out to licensees and aggregating their sort of feedback on Unreal Audio features. And one of the big feature requests, there were basically two major ones, but the top one was profiling. And so that's kind of what, we knew we wanted to do it, but it gave us the sort of ammunition to prioritize the feature internally. It's always really important. And so, for the past few, I don't know, I remember exactly when it started, but for the past few releases, we've had audio insights, but we kind of just had like the initial toehold, of the space. And then it was, one of the things that may not be obvious is the Unreal Engine team also does a lot of support for Fortnite and Fortnite feature drives, Fortnite driven features. So yeah, it does require a little bit of politicking. There's like a soft skill to kind of put money behind something,
right? Production,
production
in general is a tricky thing. You have more ideas of cool things than you'll ever get to build. So what's the highest ROI of a cool idea that we can throw people at?
It's also, by the way, I think everyone in the chat kind of understands this, being developers themselves, but it's one of the more frustrating aspects of being a developer of a product that and you see like feedback in the wild where they're like, why don't the devs, they're so stupid, they don't do this thing that's very obvious, and it's like, we know. we all know about the things.
Yep.
And it's just a matter of like, yeah, there's a million. I think I said to someone, there's like 1,000,000 or 1,000 features that we want to build, pick, and we have to pick one at a time. Like, it's just, yeah. So we've been working on it more. I think we've made some pretty good strides in the last two versions, 5.6 and 5.7, and some really big, some of the big stuff in 5.7 here. But let me. I want to do a little tour. If you'll give me some slack on the time.
Take it away.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got Project Lyra. Sorry for like the super micro text here on the menus. That's because I've got this 4K monitor. But I'm just gonna filter for
it's readable enough.
You gotta like squint at the screen there. Okay. So I just want to load up a Lyra.
I love it.
And we get to hear the beautiful sonorous soundtrack from Disaster Piece. But let me sort of. Oh, I'm sorry. I was building shaders, as you do. Welcome to Unreal. So let me load up Audio Insights. So if you go under Tools, you'll see Audio Insights right at the top. I don't know if it's always going to stay there or not, but yeah. So there might be a bunch of new windows people haven't seen if they've looked at the tool before, and if they haven't, then this is all brand new. But the first thing I want to kind of show y'all is here is the Audio Insights tool. There's a in-editor version and a standalone version that works with Unreal Insights, which is a profiling tool, a general purpose profiling tool in Unreal. And we kind of looked, I think we had a stream where Eric showed how to work with Unreal Insights a little bit.
Like reading trace data. And...
Yeah, like reading. Yeah, exactly. If you go down here, this is the menu for Unreal Insights. And that didn't help. But the Unreal Insights basically, is essentially a profiling tool for CPU and memory in Unreal. And so Audio Insights is an expansion of that. It piggybacks off of that trace system and incorporates data relevant to audio developers. And so this is the tool that we get. At the top, we have basic file menu, which is appearing some reason on the other monitor. And it just says close. The view shows all options for all of the little dockable windows here, and to activate them or deactivate them. So if something is not here and you don't see it, you can always check the view and make sure it shows up. And then if you're like, I can't find it, and you screwed everything up, you can go to the very bottom where it says reset layout, and it will reset the layout. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so underneath that we have this sort of toolbar thing at the top, and this is new as of 5.7. Is we have two different modes of operation. We have a monitoring mode and we have a recording mode. So the recording mode, and you can actually see this sort of icon is basically the same icon as is down here. And Unreal Insights is actually recording right now as we speak in the background. So you may want to manage that. You can always pause it or stop it. But yeah, so it's profiling as we speak. Um, the short-term cache mode. So there's a set cache, and you can actually see the size here is listed as 33.6 megabytes of data. And so the cache size is, it basically will treat that like a circular buffer, where as it adds, it sort of trails behind the now, basically. And the size is just how much data can be stored in that chunk of space. So the more things that you track, and some of those things that we have are optional, the more stuff you track, the less time you can actually cover. And you can see here that it's estimating a duration of 168 seconds, 169 seconds. So it's somewhere, yeah, drop down to 165. So it's somewhere between, somewhere along 165, 170 seconds of data. And so, whereas the record mode starts recording trace data, and that actually gets serialized to a file, a utrace file. It's an external file, and it's portable, which means that you can send it to someone else. You can, like, QA can take that file and add it to a Jira or something like that, and then it could be examined externally. So right now we're in monitoring mode, and that gives us a sort of running. We got our log, we got our event log. You can see there's like a sound playing, which is mx_system. So, and actually, just to sort of show you that we have like running data here, you can see I'm now monitoring the amplitude of the music playback. So you can clear the some of the stuff that you can see here on the event log. We can clear the log. There's some options when you're recording to pause the recording. There's some small amount of controls. All this stuff is being expanded on. There's still work to be done. But yeah, so those are the two main modes. And then you have some optional buttons, and then a toggle here. This is meant to look like a camera. And what it does is it'll actually just take your cache and then save it to a trace file. So if you're like, hey, I'm in monitoring mode, and then some event happens, and you're like, oh snap, I need to save that data or which I was recording. You rush over here, click that button, and it will cache it'll serialize cache to a file so that you can save that.
Is that a snapshot then of the 33 megabytes then, like the?
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. The only thing is that it saves it as a utrace file. So there are constraints about what gets saved in the utrace file versus what is monitorable.
Sure.
And you can see that when we go to the standalone mode, which I'll show later on. You can see the difference. There's just a little bit less data available. That's all.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then this little classic universal bookmark icon is for adding a bookmark to the trace file. So if you're recording a trace file and you're like, hey, I want to remember to come back to this point in time, then you can bookmark that, and then it'll leave a little bookmark in the trace file so you can return to it. And then this toggle is a trace data filter. So it will filter the data that's only relevant to audio stuff. So if you activate this, it will disable all the non-audio trace data from being recorded.
That's good to have on then, unless you're trying to do some sort of gameplay trace debugging or something.
Yeah, exactly. If you're just like hanging out and you're like, I want to have this on, it's good to click this on. If you're just doing audio work and you're not worried about, the like
animation
coincidence of other, the coincidence of other performance states. Sometimes it's very useful, and we'll see that. I'll show a recording and we'll look at a trace file, and we'll see you can see the coincidence of events in both views. But yeah, this is one of those ways to sort of reduce the memory load on the data that you're tracing.
It definitely feels like one of those, it's a cool feature when you know that this is what you're going to be working on, and then you probably want to turn it off again in case you just forget that you had it and then kind of move on and find that you don't know why your animation events are profiling or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then this over here on the right is a world filter. And this drop down, which you can barely see, is basically just a list of all the active worlds. And so when you're in the editor has a world. And when you launch Pi, there's an editor setting to either create a new world or not. And it's not necessarily that you create a new world, but that the worlds are handles to the audio device. And so the world is a way for us to filter audio devices. And you can have, for example, my setting right now, when I start a Pi session, the game has its own audio device, and the editor has a different audio device. The audio device is used for previewing sound. If I was to set up a multi-player audition session, then I could have an audio device for several of the clients. And so this is a way to filter which audio device you're viewing from. So we have the classic output log, but what's nice is it's pre-set up for audio related filtering. So all this sort of audio type log data that you would probably want is sort of pre-configured there. And so you can kind of see we got meta sound logs, audio mixer logs, etc. Audio engine logs. The event log is a new one. This one's a big one. So this chat Cam51 has a question and you can probably answer. The event log is one of the ones that people have been asking for, and that's actually a sort of chronology of audio events. So I'll scroll over the menu and you can kind of see.
Wow. Ooh.
Yeah. So it's showing the events in order. You can see the timestamp, and you can see right now. We see play and stopped events. So when the sound was played and when the sound was stopped. So we are tracking audio events. What's cool is there's also a blueprint function to add your own custom audio event moment. So you can just execute that function and inject a custom event.
Nice.
Yeah. Over. We'll see that in action actually.
Before you move on.
Yeah. So go ahead.
What are there more columns that are available in the event log? If you right-click the headers, are there more?
Yeah. So there you have I guess the only one that's missing from my selection was ID, which is like an event. It looks like it's just an event ID in order.
Yeah.
But I think that one of my feature asks is maybe like a comment section or something like that, so that you can add more information about the event, something readable, human readable information about the event. Maybe that's better as a log entry, but I feel like having it sit in that nice ordered chronology can be really powerful. But that could, maybe it's a data thing, you know, having like just this big old string sitting there. Oh yeah. So here you have the actual events, so you can filter. So let's see if I can do. Here's all the playing events filtered out, or all the stopped events. So, and you can kind of look through here to see the various events. Oh, it looks like there's the messages. Oh, that's just, maybe, I feel like maybe some custom something could be interesting. Anyway, this is pretty rad, and we'll get into how rad it is in just a second. And then we have our dashboards. These are just called dashboards right now. And we'll dig in those individually. We have this new plots window. And it has its own types that you can select from, like what things you want to evaluate, or rather monitor. I think amp is like the most interesting one. So you can opt in and out just by clicking the plots icon on the sounds tab. We have an audio meters tab, which we can fill in as we opt into monitoring specific audio buses. And then we have the like metering section, which is monitoring the output of the project or the experience. And there are several meters here. One of the big new ones is a loudness meter. People have been asking for this for a while. And we have various types: short-term, momentary, and long-term. I think long-term is like 1 minute, I think, 60 seconds.
That sounds right.
I don't remember what short-term is. It's like a handful of seconds. Let me see. I'll have to review the docs to remind myself what the short term is.
I want to say it's 3 seconds.
Is it like 3 seconds?
Yeah, that's my guess.
And then you can decide where if you just want like a abbreviated view.
Right. That's nice.
Yeah, it's so useful. So in the past, I know the only way to sort of get a profile would be to like route it outside of Unreal and then use something external for profiling the loudness.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's someone and actually something that maybe hasn't ever been mentioned. This meter, which is the classic meter that we use all over the engine. This is VU meter timing. So VU meter timing is a studio standard. It's been a studio standard for a really long time, and it's basically just an envelope follower with a specific time, attack time, and release time. And the idea is that as a standard, engineers would be familiar with the rise and fall as it sort of related to loudness, but it is obviously not like a perceptual analysis as loudness is. But I think it's good to know the history there. And then we have spectrogram, which is awesome, and then we have the vector scope, so you can sort of see a stereo coherency in the source. So let me start a little game here. Go play. Start a game. I'm gonna go offline, and then I'll add a bunch of bots so that there's activity in the background. I probably should have built the shaders before the stream.
Classic.
But the music is still going. It's pretty awesome. The meta sound is still rendering the music. This is a good chance to look at the chat comments. Let's see what we got here. Oh, yeah, there we go.
One thing, sorry.
Yeah, they're nice. Here, go ahead.
One thing I don't think Audio Insights can do this currently, but it'd be cool to see like parameter changes that are fed into like a sound or something. So you could see like monitor the current value of like a float in your meta sound maybe, or kind of see those as maybe events that occur.
Yeah, it would have to. I think it has to be one of those opt-in things because the data could be very
insane.
Yeah, intense. But it could be that it could be something like maybe a debug that is able to be docked with the other dashboards, but maybe isn't something that goes in the trace file. I don't know. That's
like I could see it where you want to watch a meta sound or something, and then you start seeing kind of its parameters updating somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, similar to how like you have the attenuation debug that's inside a meta sound as a switch for that specific meta sound having its attenuation. I think having an output watcher not an output watcher because that would be more blueprinting, but watching the parameter changes that you are sending in or getting out of a meta sound would definitely be helpful, because otherwise you're just gonna do that with like print floats or something in the meta sound each time, and that's extra.
And maybe with that blueprint node that Dan mentioned, that where you can have an event appear in the event log, maybe I don't know if you can like format a string or a float or a text or something to put into that. Then you could like just print in your event log. That would be cool, but I don't know if that's possible or not.
Here we go. There we go. There we go. Got a bunch of bots. Sorry,
Get him, fellas.
Actually, I'm also set up the. I forgot to set up the editor preferences. I just installed this this editor. So when you're starting out work in audio, there's two things you want to do.
CPU in background and
allow background audio on, and then you want to make sure that the CPU is not being throttled when it's out of focus. Yeah.
Can you make your screen full screen?
No. Oh, I can do this.
There we go.
Is that what you meant?
James was asking in the chat for that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
You were just like, absolutely not.
Oh, yeah. The editor preferences. Yeah, so, yeah, sorry. I was like, what? Yeah, if you go to...
I just searched background and they both show
up. Use less CPU when in background. Make sure that's turned off. And actually, this could probably be turned off as well. And then allow background audio, turn that on. I haven't seen this one. This is funny.
What's that about?
I don't know what that's about. Anyway, what I wanted to do here is pause for a second. So I've paused the game here. And I can now look at the current state here. We have... let me just bring this out. Let me bring this out, and then we can. So these are all these dashboards are dockables, so you can just sort of have them as floating windows. Well, here we have all the sounds at this moment in time. We can see all the meta sounds that are playing and all the sound waves that are playing. And what I want to show is in this log is that when you're paused, you can go back to that moment in time. So here's at this point, we had these sounds were playing, and at this point, these sounds were playing, as just sort of as an example. We could look at the amplitude data, in plots. So we have this. There we go. We could do one of these things here. Let's do this. So yeah, this is a really interesting way to review data. And so this kind of what I get at is that this event log is scrollable. So you can go back in time within the cache duration, right? And review the data at the time. Now this plots analysis isn't sticky. But that's one of the items of that I know has been sort of feedback for the team. But yeah, I just want to sort of show. Put this back in here. Oh, there we go. And plots. I don't know. I kind of like plots. I guess plots on the side is fine here. As always, you can just reset the layout, and it'll just reset the layout. And this, probably just swap monitors here. It'll get the right size. You know what it is? It's the Windows display magnification or whatever. Anyway, something else to note here is you see this little grayed out item. That is a sound that was previously playing. And so let's take a look at the sounds tab. Let me resume the playback here. And let's filter our sound. Let's filter for weapons, and let's solo just the weapon sounds.
That's nice.
So you can do a substring filter to filter what appears here, and then you can solo them. You can mute the filtered sounds. So now we're not hearing the weapon sounds. Or we're hearing some weapon sounds, but we're not hearing the ones that are proper. So this. let me just let's listen to the footsteps for a second, and let's just talk just a moment about naming schemes, friends. I cannot overemphasize how important it is to have strong naming schemes. It's so useful for all parts of the production pipeline, not just content management. Okay, come up with if your project should have a strong naming scheme when you start out. If you don't have one, create one as soon as possible. If you work with contractors, give it to them. Let them know all the nuances. What I think is actually super useful is creating an Excel spreadsheet of naming of names that, in other words, could create through a basic concatenation the proper name for the thing that you want to add. Naming schemes are very powerful. I have personally had more challenges with naming schemes, not with contractors. Contractors are usually good about the naming schemes that I give them. It's the internal rogues who just drop content in. Who are usually the worst offenders.
Yeah, hang on a second.
And I'm not naming names.
All of the people running out to change their naming convention because we all get to the point late at night where we think this is a pretty aggressive sounding footstep that I'm shooting a person with, and we just call them footsteps or weapons or whatever.
Anyway,
if I had my way, I would just write a validator that just won't even let you check it in unless it's named a certain way. Which sounds crazy.
What I do, but it's actually the thing is the validator works. The big benefit is adding a fixer though. So when they try and check it in, you at least have an an option to just kind of click a button and say, oh, it's supposed to be MSS or MSP or MSSP or whatever it's supposed to be?
No.
Yeah, we just batch the names. That definitely works.
Two wrongs do not make a right.
It's so tricky because it's like naming conventions are so fine until there's one specific thing that you needed them for that they violate, and then you can't find a thing, and you're even maybe even worse. Like something that happened to me yesterday was I was searching for sounds with something like weapon and didn't realize that I wasn't catching the sounds because they were just named something completely different. So I'm there doing my batch editing on all of the meta sounds that I think are related, and then some other one pops up with no attenuation or something because of a naming convention. And that's why, like, even though it sounds,
they were all called like violent handshake or something like that.
Yeah, it's just they're going like, I know it sounds silly to be like hardcore about naming conventions, but it's sort of fine until it's not, and then it's a real prick to try and actually fix them.
The hardest situations too is when you're kind of out of the context of the editor, like you're in Unreal Insights or you're reading logs and you're seeing these names of these assets and you have no idea like what some of the things are if it's not named properly, and so it can be hard to at a glance kind of understand what the context is.
Yeah.
And also files far outlive you, so you put a file in and then the asset gets renamed or something changes. Like there is sometimes outside influence as well of naming something by a code name that's in the project, and then the code name changes, and then you're just like, oh, why is it called Bubbles McGee? I thought this is a cowboy. And you're like, oh, well, he used to be Bubbles McGee, and so some of his assets are Bubbles McGee, but his new abilities are Cowboy Joe or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. That is the chaos of production. I've definitely seen that happen, which is always troubling. And they're always like sticking around. And I don't know if it's my age or something, but like I also worked at a time, like freelanced at a time when they're like, this is the GUID the file has to be delivered with, like under, and it's just like a string of characters, and I don't know what it means, but that's the name the file needs to have when I send it to them.
Yeah, let's go back to that.
We're kind of spoiled for human readable file names, which is, I think it's great, but just like sound library file names, a really strong naming scheme is going to help you in the long run. And I think this is a great example why, like, just being able to do this
filtering is so cool. It's something that normally you've had to do the filtering. You can do solos and mutes with the command line, but it's typing each specific meta sound or each specific one. Which
you can do substring filtering in the command line, but it's in the command line. It's in the command line.
So, quick question: like, how rich is this filter? Like, can you do a minus?
No, it's just a simple substring search. But we have talked about maybe like tag filtering, which could incorporate some richer asset filtering. But I understand what you mean, like maybe like a query syntax or something. That actually was, I think, one of the updates that I saw in the, which is not audio update. I don't know if you saw this, Eric. Was a token for UMG text fields.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, if you want to look for that, that was something that I spotted, and that looked really cool. So maybe that's something that was under the updates.
Okay, I'm gonna have to peruse through.
Yeah, I mean, if you just search token, I think it would just come up.
Okay, yeah, I found it. Cool.
Yeah, naming tokens in the editable text widget. Yeah, it looks cool. So it looks like that could be something to that would maybe help incorporate a more interesting search mechanism, or at least parsing the string, to
I'm just trying to think, like, what if you wanted all footsteps except grass, right? You could do like footsteps and then minus grass or something, like you do in the content browser, right? That's cool.
It's a good one. Okay, so yeah, on the little gear icon, this is on all of them, all the dockables, all the dashboards. There should be a gear icon. If there's a gear icon, there should be a gear icon. Ideally, is a gear icon, which will have options for like adding. Like here's an outer. Oh no, sorry, play order. This is my tiny view here. Yeah, here's distance occlusion, so you can kind of see what the effect is, based on distance attenuation and occlusion being combined there. So, this is, you can sort of customize the view here to sort of give you the rich information that you care about. Anyway, so moving to the next dashboard, we have virtual loops. Virtual loops we also had in the last one, but this is always very useful. Virtual loops are any loops that are held on by an audio component out of range. And what's great about this view is it'll show you the update interval and the virtualized time. You can also see virtual loops in the 3D visualizer. They show up as blue spheres. Yeah. And you can bet that the lower update intervals correspond by distance. So there's a configurable CVAR. I forget off the top of my head. If you look up the audio console commands, there's a CVAR that allow you to set the minimum update periodicity and the maximum update periodicity and the minimum range and the update maximum update range. So basically that allows you to control how often the virtual loops update their status. And this is, by default, Unreal is tuned for Fortnite. So a third person shooter where you're a human being walking around, running around. So if, like, for example, if you're making like a race car game, or you're making like I remember someone was making a some sort of like fighter plane jet fighter simulator or something like that, and they were running into issues where the virtualizations were latent by turning on, and just because they have to tune the distance and timings based on the speed of the player moving around.
What's that CVAR if you have it handy?
It's at the audio console commands. I don't have it handy.
I can find it. That sounds super useful. I haven't played with that.
Yeah, it's
it's all good. I'll find it and I'll post it.
Yeah. Okay. Where was it? Right. So submixes. So these let me return this back. Are we actually in the no, where's our pause? Okay. So So there should be hold on. I'm going to stop it and then start it again. I want to see if this updates. It did not update. So there should be a I don't know if this is a bug or something happened, but no, that wasn't really the one I wanted. Whatever. There should be a add my player bots. And checked there. Okay. So there should be a green dot next to these submixes that are active. I don't know why it's missing.
Down, Mr. President.
So I was a popular target in this last round here.
Everybody wants a piece. It's just like.
Let me wait. What? Suddenly Oh, there we go. Okay, so I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, so let me just see if I can recreate it here. So I had reached the end of my cache after pausing the game, and the event log showed a pause button here to indicate that it had stopped recording. And so I was sort of. Yeah, it's not showing it here, but I'll if I can recreate it, yeah, I will. But anyway, what happened basically is like, huh?
Folks can rewind.
Yeah. So there's.
Is it just that the event log isn't wide enough?
No, it's because I had paused the game.
Oh.
Anyway, so it had also the event log, or it was because I was navigating it. Sorry, that's probably what. So I do it again. Let's see. We go this. Yeah. And then I resume. And
it's so cool. It's such a cool sounding game. I know you've heard it like for a billion years, but it's a really good sounding demo.
Here it is. Here's the pause. So now it's run out of. So basically, since the last, so we started looking at things, and the thing that we're looking at, the time has now run out, and so the log has paused so that we can continue looking at the thing that we're looking at, right?
Gotcha.
What's
the tooltip on that?
Caching has been paused. Audio Insights is no longer collecting data from the current session. So you need to unpause it, and it'll resume the normal playback here. Okay. All right. Where was I? Right. So submixes. The active submixes are, you'll see it as green dots here. And this is just sort of a lightweight way to indicate to you which submixes are being used right now. And then you can opt them in for tracking. So let me clear the filters here. So now this data is being tracked along with our monitoring, and when we record, this data will also be tracked. So the important
get him. Don't let him get away. He's profiling his audio. Get rid of him.
So the important thing to understand is that the bus metering is opt-in only. So because it's a lot of data, and so so that's just so keep that in mind. The audio buses would look the same. We didn't use audio buses in this project, but it would look the same here. And you can opt it in. It would just show up in this audio meters section. And then the other thing that's really cool is Audio Insights is extensible, and this is something that we're continuing to prove out. We're trying to improve how easy it is to extend Audio Insights. But the control buses and modulation matrix dashboards are part of the audio modulation implementation. They're actually implemented as dashboards outside of the Audio Insights plugin. And so Unfortunately, there aren't like there aren't a lot of exciting. It looks like the. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the. I'm gonna go back to the other level, not just because it's just easier to find me in that particular level, but also because it looks like the mix wasn't engaged or something. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I do want to show the mix here, and let me just quickly bump over here. So here you can see under the modulation matrix is basically the view that you would have seen on screen. But it is now in like this window, and it's a little bit easier to read the mix stack
compared to the debug, right?
Yeah, compared to the on-screen like stat debug or whatever that they had before. And so this is a positive, and I think I don't remember if I think this might be scrollable. I don't remember. I think that it is. So someone find out. Someone add a whole bunch of control buses. But I just wanted to show these update. Obviously I didn't use a lot of mixing. There wasn't a lot of scenarios for mixing, and the game's kind of simple. But what I do want to show, let me sort of repossess here, is when we go into the menu, options, audio, you can actually see I guess we'll put it over here like this. You can see the value get updated in real time there, and also on the mix. So if this is really useful, obviously, if you've got a lot of interesting mixes happening in your game and you want to be able to observe their effects in real time and also track the data in your trace.
What if I have a bunch of really boring mixes?
Then get out of here.
Would this also track like a dynamic control bus mix that's like
yes.
transient? Cool.
Yeah, so those ones fall under a global mix for the control bus. It gets a name, I think, that's like control bus, global mix or something, global mix control bus, something like that. And so those will show up as global mixes. And let's start recording here. Let me return to, let's go back here. Let me add a couple player bots. We won't go crazy. And yeah, more people on my team is better. And and then let's switch over to recording mode. So now we're gonna start recording. Now we're gonna start recording. And I guess I'll go do stuff. Let's shoot my own person and jump. You wouldn't even know I helped make this game. Why'd I start on the blue side? That's not fair. Who's in charge here? Oh, I'm still filtering weapons here. Let me...
Yeah.
Is it kind of weird for people? There we go. Super. What? Oh, what? I muted filtered instead. I clicked the wrong button. Here we go. Oh, here we go. There we go. Look at that. Get out of here. Let me get out of here. Okay. There we go. Get some life. The trick with Lyra is melee. That's the trick. Don't let anyone tell you different. You have to find a player.
I don't think you spawned any.
Anyway, this is a great round, everyone.
Well, something happened. So
yeah. So I'm just okay. There we go. I guess that really was a great round. Okay, I'm gonna quit the game. Yep. And actually, something else that's kind of fun to see. I think it's interesting is the flush audio call when you change the level. Anyway, we're gonna quit. We're gonna actually exit the game, and we're gonna stop the recording, and then we're going to load up our trace. So actually, yeah, not currently tracing.
James wants to know if you can filter by actor.
No, not at the moment, but that is something that we've talked about. Yeah. So if you go, it's kind of hard to see. If you go to trace store directory, it'll actually open up. It'll actually open up the directory, which is like in your app data, with your utrace files. So that's how you can port them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the Unreal Insight session browser. And this is going to take a second because this is the first time I've opened it up. And so it's actually going to build the external Unreal Insights front end. I guess I already did it. Maybe I already did it. Oh, maybe I did it in preview and that was enough. Yeah, anyway, so here's this is a standalone tool now. And here's the trace. And we can see here I think this is the trace that we did.
Is there any way to? I guess when you open it up, it'll only have the audio ones. Is that the way we'd have to work it out?
Well, hold on. Let me show you. Let me show you real quick here. So we're opening up the Unreal Insights recording, the utrace file. And just letting it sort of compile all the data right now. Sorry, can you hit me with your question again while I was doing that?
I was asking how would we determine that the trace file that we took is the one from Audio Insights as opposed to some other trace. Obviously, you just look at the
thing. There's no distinction. So it's Audio Insights is recording Audio Insights data in the trace file that is the Unreal trace file.
Gotcha.
So
you'll be able to tell because when you open it up, it'll have only the audio flags if you had that checkbox.
If I had that checkbox, which I didn't this time, yeah.
Perfect.
So this will have everything in there. And what we can do is when we open up our session, if you go to menu, you can see Audio Insights right there. And there's our Audio Insights view. And can I do half and half? There we go. Something like that. And so here is our Insight section. You can see our analyzers is limited to just the VU meter. But we still have a lot of our friends up here. We got a sounds tab. Our submixes tab is going to be for the ones, as I mentioned, the ones that we've opted in. Maybe this is, hold on a second. Is this to David's point? Let's see. This does look like our session, but maybe it could have been a session that I recorded another time. But anyway, there's our flush audio calls at the end.
The timestamp looks accurate.
It looks, okay. Yeah. So here, if we go click, it'll actually take us to that section. You see the playhead here on our Unreal Insights browser, and we can see all the data icicles at that time. And so this is the power thing, in my opinion. This is because you can record just the audio stuff, which is great, but I think it's really great if you're like, hey, why did I get a hitch here? Maybe bookmark a section because it was like, oh, the audio cut out for some reason. And then you can sort of look at the aggregate data and see, hey, maybe there was some coincidental performance issue, that was happening. Maybe someone was streaming in a bunch of textures or something. And so I think it's really powerful. This to me is like the really cool bit, being able to just navigate to a different part, and it synchronizes the other direction. So if I drag the cursor around, you can see.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right. And likewise, you can see like the sounds get updated. What was playing at that time.
Nice.
Ah, that's awesome. That's so useful.
Yeah,
it means
which
you at least have a
virtual.
touch point, because something that happens, one of the downsides I feel like why people don't use, why audio people specifically don't use a lot of Unreal Insights, is because it's really hard to see like what's an instance of a sound doing, because it's just like a single block that says do work or something. It's not a very audio focused thing, whereas this is much more like other profilers in the audio space would look at. What's the event, and then you can click on the event and be like, why, what is, if like, for instance, I would look at this and say like, well, I triggered this event a lot, so then I click on that event, it takes me to that event, and I can look at the time that event took, or is there some heavy processing that happens there, like that link between these two is awesome. I'm going to be playing with this when we eventually get to update to 5.7.
And we can filter, right? So we can look at all, like, say the flush audio calls and see what happened at that time. You can see there's the big the big loading screen hits. The whole level flushed, and So
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you mentioned the bookmarks earlier.
Oh yeah, I forgot to make a bookmark.
Yeah, and so I'm just curious, like, does that show up in the event log or in the icicles or both?
That's a great question. Do you want to try it out and see what happens?
Yeah, let's find out. I'm just curious, because it'd be nice if it did show up as like a marker in the insights, the Unreal Insights icicle chart. But
I'm with you on that one.
The bookmarks will show up at the top of the Unreal Insights.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, bookmarks.
We're just gonna do a quick recording here and see what we get here.
Bookmarks are definitely a thing that I feel like is once you incorporate them into the workflow, so useful to be able to just be like actually repeating it, because you look at so much data and insights, and you hit a bookmark, hit play, and then die, and then hit bookmark again. It's like, oh sweet, now I actually have the time.
Dan, you're not full screen, but what was the pop-up? What did it say on the bottom? Like, you just made a bookmark?
I just made a bookmark, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to then go back to the front end and see if do I have to refresh it? Maybe.
Might have to just scroll down. I don't know.
Oh, it's there. It's already at the bottom, so you can see this super lightweight one. So I made it was like a fast one, right? So here, oops, it's on this screen here. And it'll probably take no time to compile that data.
Can you make it full screen?
Oh yeah, sorry. And let's go Insights, and let's see. I think the bookmark is an audio Insights. An Unreal Insights bookmark. So let's see if I can. Oh, this just sits on top. Okay, sorry. I have to do one of these things. By the way, I will say Unreal Insights and Audio Insights is a lot easier if you've got multiple screens. Trying to fit everything on one screen is kind of a little bit painful there.
All tracks and then bookmarks.
Just scroll out. You're just
here we go. Bookmarks.
Okay, cool. So you turn on. You just need to scroll it. They'll be in that timeline, that line below the timeline.
There we go. Audio Insights bookmark 0.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's cool, because it sort of has that approach of something just went wrong, so you just drop a bookmark and then you can scroll back a little bit and be where you need to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I put it. There's not a lot. Obviously, not a lot happened in this. This quick session. I think I did it after playing these files. So yeah, that timeline is basically right. There you go.
You can zoom in and find out.
Yeah. Another button that would be super duper handy would be a drop a bookmark 10 seconds ago.
Oh, there we go.
So you
That
could,
was way zoomed out.
you'd get like a
Sorry, say
region.
that again?
A really cool feature would be dropping a bookmark 10 seconds ago. So you could click drop a bookmark now and
Oh, yeah.
seconds ago. And then that way, like if something happened, I would be able to go, oh shit. And I hit drop a bookmark. And then I go back 10 seconds, drop a bookmark or a region or whatever. And then that way I can look at, I can find exactly where things went wrong. I could drop a bookmark and then scroll back, but I don't really, that's hard in Insights sometimes.
This is cool. You can also see some command line that was called there on the timeline here. Anyway, yeah. So I'm with you on the retro. I think more retro type features I think are useful. Obviously, I think they're useful, but
the fact that these link together is so cool.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So that's Audio Insights.
Yay!
I feel like that's one of the big ones to really look at. I think it's and also I think it's one of the ones that people are likely to sleep on.
Yeah, so something worth, I suppose, us mentioning is you'll need to go into the plugins menu and actually turn on Audio Insights.
Yeah.
So you have to turn it on. So when you start up a new version of Unreal, it won't be in by default. So
no, it's actually on by default for 5.7.
It is now. Okay.
Yeah. So this is one of the big things that wasn't maybe obvious on the notes on the feature updates is that it's been moved to beta, and so as beta we decided to have it on by default. So
cool. So yeah, even easier, and it's something that will ideally help us capture what's going wrong or profiling, and probably helping mixing realistically as well with all these new volume features.
Yeah, I think just being able to isolate groups of sounds is really helpful in balancing. So yeah.
Also, like the existing functionality, if you take away Audio Insights and you say, well, how would I do this without Audio Insights? It would be like au.debug.sounds, and then just looking at a list and not being able to filter any of them or solo them or find anything without typing it into command line. So it's much, much more user-friendly, I think.
Yeah, I will say, I think a couple of us have noticed a memory leak. I'm not sure exactly the conditions for that. That is something just to be aware of if you leave it on for long periods of time.
Something you said today made me think that maybe it's because Unreal Insights is recording in the background.
Yeah, could be that.
I think it's probably that is what
could be that.
I've noticed.
That's why you want to manage your data filtering whenever possible.
Hit the button, the toggle.
Hit the little toggle, and you can also you can also stop recording Unreal Insights.
Right.
So
I think it used to be that if you didn't have it running, it would just it would stop. Audio Insights just wouldn't do anything, but it sounds like that's now.
Maybe that's still the case.
Just enable on it.
Maybe I gotta look into that. Maybe maybe that's still the case. But the filter is for Unreal Insights, so it's the whole. So obviously, Unreal Insights is capturing a whole lot of data.
Yeah, it has to piggyback. So
yeah, and so so that toggle will reduce the amount of data.
So with the rest of the stream, we can talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's a few other things.
It's amazing when you think about just a single feature we could talk about for a couple of hours because it just solves so many problems. But then the next feature comes up and you're like, what does this one do? And then there's just even more stuff.
Yeah, what would you like to take? What would you like to take a look at? Is there anything? There was a call out, Eric. What's this Tech Audio Tools sample?
Oh, what's this? What's a Tech Audio Tools sample? That sounds cool.
Yeah, so that's in the release notes. It's a little early. We're still working on putting out a Fab plugin for 5.7 that's going to have a bunch of widgets, some utilities that we use internally that we want folks to be able to include in their projects and use them, dive into them, kind of see how they're made, and like you can take them apart and put them together however you want. And yeah, that should be coming soon.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Could you show your Game SoundCon demo?
I don't know if I actually have it on this PC at the moment.
Okay.
I don't have my MIDI device hooked up and stuff, but
oh, that's a shame.
We can do another stream.
That'd be awesome.
Talk about that. I guess I forgot that we had probably talked about at some point showing Game SoundCon stuff up on here, but yeah, no, it won't be too long. We're just working on getting stuff lined up for the Fab release now that 5.7 is out. It'll be just a little bit longer because we need to code reviews and all that, but looking forward to it.
Maybe the release notes themselves seem maybe a little bit vague. Can you give some examples of like what kind of functionality would be included, or what are the kind of features that like obviously they're useful widgets, but sort of for what, how, who, when,
Yeah. So at least for right now, like initially it's very meta sound focused and just trying to increase the amount of things you can use to build tools for meta sounds with. And so, for instance, the Game SoundCon demo that I made was focused on making preset widgets for your Metasound preset widgets. We'd done a stream, I think, for 5.6 when we released the Tech Audio Tools plugin, which did get some updates in 5.7, which we can cover in another stream. But it's a kind of a framework and like a set of content for making widgets for your Metasound presets. So your sound designers can have knobs and sliders instead of a giant unmovable, like uneditable Metasound node. Like the current preset viewer is not very useful. And so we want to make it easy to make custom widgets. And that's kind of what the whole idea of the Tech Audio Tools plugin currently is all about, kind of facilitating that. But it's not just the... Sorry?
Feels like I was saying the all these widgets and making things easier. It's hard to sometimes know how much you'll use them until you see that one thing that solves that one problem you have. Like when you showed me the demo at Game SoundCon, and I like flipped out and ran away because it was just one of those things where we have a lot of big meta sounds that have parameters in them, but the parameters are just kind of in a block, big blocks sort of spot where you've got to keep scrolling around to find them, and you've got to scroll through a lot of Metasound stuff to find each one. And it's also up to like the designer to stay really neat and really organized. And the demo that you showed me at Game SoundCon was really exciting because making widgets brings things into our realm a lot more. It makes things feel like a door. It makes things feel creative and fun and easy to use, and more about using the tool instead of trying to understand it and trying to feel like a programmer plugging everything in, can take us away from that. So I feel like having some sliders and knobs and just text details about the things that I care about probably helps also find bugs, and that's a nice byproduct, but it's really about staying creative.
Yeah. Making it look a little more familiar for people who are used to working in DAWs.
Yeah.
Linked store. So there's no store page for it yet, but it will be like on like the Epic Games publisher page probably.
Yeah. So the Tech Audio Tools plugin is already in the engine. It ships with 5.6, 5.7. So you can find it in the plugins. You just go in the plugins directory and activate it. But what Eric's talking about and what this is a sample content. So this showcases it and it adds additional content for expanding its utilization.
Yeah, it's a little awkward because of the distinction between like what belongs in the engine versus what belongs as like a separate like content pack. And so like a lot of the widgets and stuff, like those are more just things on the side that we want to make available, because it's not the only way you can do it, right? It's just here's like a toolkit of what we've built.
Yeah, it's like an implementation. And if you were, say, at some studio that's embarking on kind of like a 5-year dev cycle or something like that, you may want to do your own custom versions of this, and so you could look at that as a model.
Yeah, and
but it's also useful out of the box.
Yeah, like it's not just preset widgets either. Like there's like one of the tools that'll be in there is like a Metasound input migrator, which you can use to like batch copy input defaults from one Metasound to another, or you can like migrate from one preset to another, like copy all the inputs from one, like link them up to another Metasound. And
y'all don't know how insanely awesome that is.
It's come in handy more than one occasion. So
these are tools that are made under duress. I think that's really important to like appreciate. Is like, oh, we need to stop using this Metasound template, and we just need to start using this other Metasound template, and we've got all these presets that need to be swapped over.
So we either do that by hand and copy like thousands of inputs from one asset to another, thousands not in one preset, but like over the course of all of them.
Yeah.
But so it's definitely like something done out of necessity, and for scalability, that's kind of a big thing. We want to go wide and make it easier to manage large numbers of assets, and that's what some of the other tools that will be in there later on. Since it's a fab plugin, we're not like tied to engine release versions. Yeah. We can update them with new tools kind of as we see fit, and so I would expect that we're going to be rolling out things over time. There's probably like it's not going to be a huge content drop at the start. Like it's mostly like some small bits and pieces that build up the tools that are going to be in there when we launch it, but enough to kind of get you started and kind of understand kind of the framework that's loosely in place there, and because there's some new ideas in terms of how we design the widgets using like view models and just some of the newer widgets that we're working on. But
I think it'll be a really powerful learning resource, to be honest with you. I think that's going to be because you're engaging with some of the new design patterns, some of the new UX design patterns. I think it's been very useful for folks.
It's been very educational for me as well. Like there's not much like there's no documentation that says like how to build tools with view models and in Unreal, in UMG no less. Like so it's kind of cool. It's also scary and like trying to find the best way, but there really is no best way to like. There's many ways you can do things wrong, and there's many ways you could do things right. But that's just game dev in general, I think.
Yeah.
But I think tech audio is often finding itself meandering in places that aren't simply playing audio. Like there's audio people I work with that have never really worked on runtime audio and have only made editor tooling and have only made engine tooling and optimization things, or that kind of framework of working on problems that are real problems that need to be solved by somebody somehow is a big part of long-term jobs. It's like everything you make for the first 3 months of the project, you could just sort of do whatever you want, and you maybe even you do really think about things and you're really careful. That's not to say that people aren't careful and working hard, but there is a thing where over time tech debt builds up, and building tools to both alleviate tech debt and prevent tech debt and is also sort of just part of the gig of working on something that exists for longer than a year or 6 months.
Yeah. Actually, that's it's interesting that you bring that up, because sometimes people ask, we talk about maybe this is sort of a side, but we've talked about recently in other streams about tech audio competencies and different seniority levels, and I feel like knowing or anticipating tech debt is one of those things I think you just kind of get with experience. It's really hard to anticipate that the thing that you're building doesn't have legs.
It does feel like you generally need to get burnt by it. Like you do need to get burnt by something, and then over time you just start realizing that everything in your house is out to kill you, and
it's
you
like
start.
it's a fear response, you know. It's
It's a spidey
absolutely.
sense. It's a sort of a combination of a spidey sense and a fear response. But
Oh my God.
I think the trickiest thing when you're working with more junior people or people that are in audio design that are looking to get into tech audio, just in general, there might be really good audio designers that have been burnt by things before as well, because we kind of all are when we work on projects. But developing this idea of how can I be burnt the least, or if I am burnt, how do I put the fire out is something that can make or break your experience on some projects. And I feel like having some competency with making things easier helps, because something that I feel like I see all the time is a more junior, and this could be more junior in just audio design and well-meaning and everything, but they may know how to do things one way, and you will, if you don't check in with them often, they may go away and relink 1,000 Metasound assets and say like, oh, well, I needed to do that. And you're like, oh no, you should have just asked me and I would have helped you. Like I want you to stay making the cool sounds and doing the cool thing that you're really good at, not relinking a connection because of a decision I made 6 months ago.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Sorry,
actually. Sorry, say that again.
Sorry, Joe. That's a shout out to Joe, and really just to anybody that you work with. When you work on something long enough, we all end up at a point where we just go like, I wish I had known that was not a possibility. I mean, I asked you guys the other day of like, hey, can I reparent a Metasound preset? And it was like, nope. But you can use some tooling to sort of do it programmatically. And I'm like, okay, cool. Maybe I'll wait for that then.
Well, that's a good segue back to the tech audio tools, because that's basic. I mean, that's effectively the migrator. You know, that's basically what it's
more or less. Yeah, it's not like the silver bullet. It is like we just need a fix and take a hammer to it. You know, it's making a new asset and then copying everything over to it. So you end up with a second asset, which isn't too bad if you want to keep the old one around, maybe or something. But it's not all about meta sounds, or at least that's not the plan for the future. But
it's what it's medicine.
No, I'm talking about the tools. I'm talking about the tech audio tools. Isn't going to be only focused on meta sounds.
No. Yeah. No, we've talked about this, just like other.
Cool what about the sound cues? Am I right?
That's right.
You can put some sound cues. Put some asset actions in there. You know, convert to meta sound or something. I don't know.
If you really want to be novel, you have a sound cue play a meta sound, which is possible.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, very good.
It'll never die. UE6, right? Meta sound.
That's right. Cool. I think we went over. Oh, I did want to mention, by the way, that there are some missing fixes that I added for Soundscape. So they asked the release. There's like an automated release note system that populates this list, and it was pinging me during Game Sound Con. So I was at a conference and I couldn't update the release notes. And there's a Perforce thing that really bugs me because it's automatically cultivated from Perforce. And there's a flag for release notes. And I think the flag should allow you to author in the comment next to the flag, the release notes. And it doesn't do that.
That's ridiculous.
I think it should automatically do that. Anyway, so I did finish them today. I think I missed the boat on those going out. But I did submit fixes. I mean, they're in the change list. So I did submit fixes for Soundscape. It's like 4 or 5 fixes. I fixed this issue where if you wanted to load a palette and activate the state for it on the first frame, it wouldn't work. because I introduced a bug in 5.5 where the palettes are async loaded, and I forgot to make sure that they check the state when they're done loading. So it was a stupid mistake on my part. So people have had to work around it for the last couple versions. And I also fixed an edge case where if you used move by trace and the color point condition, originally it would check the color point before doing the move by trace, and that was confusing for people who are setting up color points on, like, say, surfaces. And now it does it works both ways, basically. So if you don't use the move by trace, it checks it, and if it used move by trace, then it'll check it after the trace, after the moved spot. Yeah, so Sean is asking if ambisonics work correctly in soundscapes. Yeah, I mean, it just plays a sound, and if ambisonics work, if you believe ambisonics works in general, then soundscape it'll work.
Get him, man. Only 6 minutes left, but there's so these fixes are in 5.7 or they're not?
Yeah, they're in 5.7. They just didn't make the notes.
Gotcha.
The release notes are these sort of public facing bits for the, and we all have to, all the individual people that check in their stuff are basically at near a release. This sort of automated system is like, hey, you've got all these changes, and some of these have not been metadated up, so are there supposed to be release notes for this? And usually you can choose to exclude, which most of the time I just do. I'm like, fuck it, I don't need to put it out there. If it's like a minor fix or something like that, then I might not do anything. But usually if I feel like it's relevant, I'll add the release note, and it'll make it to this list that goes up on the website. But so this website is a curated list. That's actually an important distinction. This website list is a curated list. It's not exhaustive by any means. There's probably a million changes that have gone in since 5.6. Like, the check-in rate on our streams is insane. It's like thousands of check-ins a day.
That's a lot.
I think we have like 8 digits for our CLs, something like that. Like, it's insane. So yeah, so tens of millions is like where we're at. When I started, it wasn't 8 digits. So I just want to point that out. I started about 9.5 years ago. We were, at like 6 digits or something like that. So that, the change list increments fast. And if you look at the GitHub, that's the exhaustive list of changes that made it in. So Sean, they're like, yeah. So for ambisonics, there's internally we only support one format, and you will want to add to your file when you import if it's Fuma or Ambix in the file name, and it'll automatically convert it to the internal type. And then there's a flag that is ambisonics on the sound wave. Not very elegant. That's sort of how things work right now. Unfortunately, it's not how we want them to work in the long run, but that's how they work right now. And only first order currently is supported. And all you have to do is add spatialization to it. So once you hit you add like attenuation settings and you just sort of flag spatialization, then it will work. So you don't have to have distance attenuation. You don't have to have anything else on it. But that what spatialization will do is it'll world lock it. If you don't click spatialization, it'll just be listener oriented the whole time. So front will be down center. But if you want it world lock, it'll do an offset. And it gets converted to your submix format. So if your like computer is stereo, then the submix that it's going to is probably stereo. And there's a sound field submix type, which is like just that will retain the sound fieldness of it
until it gets converted. sound field, because I feel like I can never find too much information about it in general.
Say it again.
At some point, it would be cool to do a stream on sound fields, because I feel like there's not a lot of stuff about them in general.
That'd be a good one for wait for Max to come back, because Max wrote our ambisonics encoder decoder. So
you might know something. Know something.
Yeah. I have played around with it. First order is a little fuzzy. I'm sort of I waffle on ambisonics in general, because it is a point listener perspective, which to me always sounds like it's inside your head. And so you're missing basically the width part of the experience. So I tend to really prefer like quad IRT cross recorded ambiances. I really like ORTF recorded stereo.
Something about that.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, I forget what this. It's like 20 to something centimeters. It's like a good width. It gives you a very strong, time delay that feels very spatialized. So, yeah. Host cares ambisonics. Yeah.
Sounds like we'll have to do an ambisonics one in a couple of weeks then.
I'm not sure if Metasound have the flag for ambisonics, so that would be the issue there, Adriano. Is we don't have yet ambisonics as a supported output format. So yeah. But that's when you see cat in the channel agnostic types, this is what we're waiting for. The infrastructure, the rendering infrastructure for a arbitrary channel configuration source and rendering pipeline system. So that's basically the issue that we're running into. Is it gets the combinatorics of rendering formats is insane. And so what we're trying to do is set up some sort of like multi-jack under the hood system, so that for designers it's very simple to achieve what they're looking for. But that is, I think, one of the things that sort of why they've held back on. It's my speculation. I think that's why they've held it back on ambisonics output for Metasounds. Gotcha. Also, we don't have like a Metasound encoder decoder node at the moment. Cat will offer a certain amount of encoding decoding when it supports ambisonics, but ideally you'd like something like a panner node or something like that. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, yeah, we didn't get through all the stuff. But I think we got through the important stuff.
There's just so much stuff.
There is a lot of stuff.
Do another one. We'll do another one on the subtitles plugin. The subtitles plugin. If you're a person that's been working with subtitles or text in Unreal for a while and wondering how it works in the native, use sound waves, but not with Metasound. So there's a link there, and I think there's a sequencer work or something with subtitles too.
Yeah, I think so the big deal with subtitles is that they've been moved to user asset data. And so that allows a much broader application of the subtitle implementation, because sound waves were just a terrible idea. Like, a lot of stuff was sort of put on sound waves that probably shouldn't have been. And user asset data is the way to kind of extend, asset data.
Yep.
So yeah, so that's the kind of the big deal with subtitles is that move. But yeah, they show in the thumbnail here, setting it up in a sequence, which is pretty cool. That's neat. And that's one of the things that's nice is like subtitles have been like a hot potato. No one's really wanted to own them, and I feel like the sort of the feeling behind subtitles as an important part of the experience and presentation has shifted in the last year or so. I feel like that's, or maybe 2 years or something like that. So I feel like that's been a change in the general feeling of subtitles as a feature. And so it's cool to see, not just us, but like sequencers as an example, like sort of expanding that work, which is great to see that infiltrate other places, because it's more than just an audio feature. It's really a narrative feature. Needs to be part of all the bits that support narrative.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Sean, sorry. Yeah. 200.4. There is a plugin called the ADM plugin that allows you to interface with like a Dante network and give every source its own channel on the Dante network, and then do submixing on the receiver end of the Dante network. And so that's how Unreal is used at the MGS Sphere, where they have like 200 speakers and 4 subs. I assume it's more than 4 subs, but yeah, 4 really big subs. Okay, yeah, yep. All right, thanks. Yeah, that's our chat. I've been Dan Reynolds, joined by Eric Buckles and David Weaver. That's the other way to pronounce the name.
Yeah.
And yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Hope you have a great week, and we will come back some future Thursday. Thanks. See ya.
See ya.
See yous.